morning, guys. It's 7 a.m. and I just finished working on some of my weaknesses. And this is a mentality that I've had ever since I was a kid. A lot of people look at me now and they're like, oh man, Bart is pretty jacked, or Bart's pretty strong. I don't really think I'm jacked or very strong. I think I'm kind of average in the fitness and lifting community. But it took me a lot to get to where I am now. And a lot of people might even go, I think Bart has good genetics. I actually think I have the worst genetics. Ever since I was young, at around 4 or 5, I've already had really, really bad asthma. So much to the point that a regular albuterol inhaler was not enough. I had to get hooked up to a respirator at night. So my mom had to buy a machine, which were already broke. She was a single mom. I had to get hooked up to this machine that pumped gas and this medication into my mouth, and I have to breathe it 30 minutes to an hour every single night, just so my lungs can inflate and take in enough oxygen for me to not wheeze all the time. And anytime I had the slightest cold, or even if I drank a soda or a Slurpee, if it's too cold, my entire trachea would just close up and I have a hard time breathing. So I think ever since I was little, I knew I had to really work on my cardio. On top of that, by the time I was 8, my vision was already at a -3. And most of my friends now that wear glasses have around -3, -4. So I've already had really bad vision. And by the time I got into high school, I was at -10, which is pretty much legally blind. So I couldn't see, couldn't really breathe. On top of that, I was flat-footed. And so even when I joined the Marine Corps, when they inspect you to make sure you're not flat-footed, because it's highly disadvantageous to hiking, going up mountains and all that stuff, I curled my arches up on purpose on my toes to kind of make it look like I had arches. And what was really cool was the doctor at MEPS, which is like the processing center for potential recruits. He was just walking by, and what they make you do is they sand on cold tiles and they go behind you and they make you kick your feet up. So the parts that have been pressing on the tile, when you lift it up, your feet will be white, right? So if you're flat-footed, the whole thing will be white. If you have a normal arch, only this part would be white, the edge would be white, and then this heel part would be white. So I was purposely trying to go like this. By the time he got to me, he was like, you don't even need to put your foot up. So I think what he was trying to do is, instead of trying to lie for me, he was just gonna say, oh, I didn't see it, or I missed it, you know? So that was super cool of him, because I was able to join the Marine Corps. But one of the reasons why flat feet is really bad is your feet don't pronate correctly, so you can't run correctly, you can't walk correctly, you technically can't even move athletically correctly, because the way your 2 feet are handling your body weight, it's not in the most efficient way possible. So your knees can buckle the wrong way, your ankle can turn in the wrong way. So I just had all these things working against me, but I still always wanted to be better. I didn't want to let my biological or physical circumstances hold me back from what I wanted to do. So I think my first really big physical endeavor was Kung Fu. And I just loved it so much. I would take one class, a 2 to 3 o'clock class, and I would stay from the 3 to 4 class, and then from the 4 to 5 class. And by the time I was like 9 or 10, I would jump in on the adult class. And what I noticed was, hey, maybe I can't do a tornado kick as high as everyone else. But if I repped it out over and over and over, I can get it as quick as I could, and I can make my left one look like my right one, and I can make it crisp and as explosive as long as I trained twice the amount as other people. So I think starting from a young age, I just knew if you have certain setbacks, the reality is you're just gonna have to train that much harder. You know, if you don't have both of your parents, you're gonna have half the amount of love, and you have to work that much harder to have a full family. Or if you're poor, you're gonna have to work that much harder to be rich. And I think in some ways I feel blessed to be born with bad genetics, because it helped me develop a strong mindset. Whereas there are a lot of people that I see that actually have really good genetics, like their first time squatting, they're already squatting this high, and they just stopped doing it because I think things came so easily for them, you know, or they work out a little bit and they increase so much and they just fall off and they lose motivation. For me, it takes a long time to add even 5 pounds to my squat, to my bench, to shave 30 seconds off my mile time, and I love that. And I don't think I would have it any other way, because I think a strong mindset is more important than anything else, because you can achieve and develop everything else in your body if your mind is strong. But now that you guys know this, who have good genetics, imagine if you train your mind to be just as strong as your body. I think you guys could accomplish the world. It's a super hot month for us. We're dropping so many things. So one, the All-Star collection, the second coming of all of our top sellers of this year, organized into one launch. Also, we have the Barbell Brigade All Day Long Sleeve. That looks super dope. It's a capsule launch, as well as the comfy short. So this is one of our first big cut and sew shorts. It looks super casual, looks dope with your clothes, but it's also really comfy enough to wear in the gym. Check that out. It's this pigment dyed fleece. And we got 3 big launches this month, so make sure you go to Barbell Brigade and check all of that out. Thank you guys so much. Peace.